side out today. Yeah. Side B, B side,
B-side.
B side. That's right. First one was side A though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you guys catching me with that.
Hey, I be confused too. It's not
It was the difference with side A and side B was just side A was more so produced by me and it was all samples, and side B is original, just original production and different producers. So yeah, it worked out though. It's coming to iTunes, Spotify, and all music platforms very soon. We just want to put it on Spotify today. SoundCloud today though.
Absolutely. You can find that on Spotify or SoundCloud today.
SoundCloud.
We premiered it on mildsauce.co. You guys can go over to the website to check that out, listen to all the music. Of course, we also got that loaded in our hottest new singles for Chicago that plays every night at 8 o'clock. So you guys can always catch the newest stuff from SiSi and Nassim over there. But like we were mentioning, man, the first show we did, me and Jay kicked off Mild Sauce Live back in February, I think. We met up with you guys over at the Stew Studios. Now we're working at the Home over here. But it was our first talk, so it was, we also worked a lot with Twilight Side A. So you guys have been one of the most consistent people on Mild Sauce Radio over the years. We also, or over the year, we're about to catch our year right now. So it's good to have you guys back, man. Absolutely. So
It's always good to hear that though.
absolutely, you guys been we've seen you at Enjoy, we've seen you all over the city. You guys did the tour this year. You guys have had a lot going on between the last time we talked. Tell us a little bit, backing up, what you guys were kind of focusing in on the strategy last time we talked, and now you've executed a lot of that strategy. How's it been? How's the journey been between February and today?
I definitely noticed a difference. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if it's like people see me in and out of town and just see everything that I'm doing, but I get a lot of people that's hitting me up because, like, I songwrite too. You know what I'm saying? So they be like, yo, like, I don't really know how the songwriting thing works, but how do I pay you to come through the studio? And, like, everybody just want to work with me now.
Mhm.
And, like, I get people texting me back now, some of the same people I used to text,
You get the text back
they
now,
text
yeah.
it back now. So it's just like, yeah, they want to be around. And, like, I think they seeing the glow up, you know what I'm saying? Like, because we definitely been putting a lot of work in everywhere we go. Like, we network and, like, we stay the same, though. We stay humble, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be willing to work with everybody, but I definitely notice a difference.
Yeah. At this, I noticed a difference, but I just noticed it's just different opportunities. It's kind of the same, but I feel like Chicago is this bubble. You just gotta pop, especially when you're trying to create your own lane. But I'm grateful for everybody supporting, especially to hear you saying we the most consistent on Mild Sauce. Like that was the plan, like to find a home somewhere like that could pump our music out. We could get on, get some content out. So man, we're appreciative of that, of everyone who consistently support us this year, even on the tour. Just on the blogs, radio stations, things like that, because we can be, it can be hard not to get those things, so we just appreciate all the support. But I am proud to motivate the artists I work with, like CC, Luck, Musa Reams, Big Spencer, people like that. Everybody, even if I wasn't working with them, they'll be doing their own thing. So it's just good to see our worlds, collide in a good way.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah.
It's possible. My biggest goal now is to just get the checks now.
Hey, go crazy.
I think I got a lot of music. I'm proud at this moment in my career too, because I got a lot of music to put out over the years. So, and a lot of marketing plans to get myself these gigs and things like that, and these festivals, and to throw my own function. So it's a growth process, but it took a long time. I'm growing like you, Jake. We talked about this a lot of times. But,
Don't let the people know how old grown we are. We still look young, so we can get away with it a little bit.
Yeah. But no, it's good progress, But everybody I'm around, it's actually progressing, and it's just motivating, So
100%, man. I mean, how does it feel to like last time we talked? You guys were setting up a plan, and I feel like when you execute, that's the hardest thing, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody can have a plan. Anybody can say they're about to do something, but you guys actually went out and got it. You did the tour, you got the projects out, and you said you were checking off that checklist. How's it feel? Every time you cross something off, it's got to feel pretty fulfilling.
Yeah, it is. Everything didn't go as planned, but we got it done though. So
sometimes when it doesn't go planned though, you learn the best lessons, right? We learn that on this every time we do a show.
That's one thing. It taught me just to not stress out as much about things.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Art got to be crazy sometimes, So just create and just try your best to be consistent. That's what I'm learning right now. And hopefully, like I said, I'm consistent enough to like quit my job and you know just live off music, start my own business, things like that. So you know, I think that's everybody's goal, but you know.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. I mean, but you put something behind it, and you had like the forethought. I think is what a lot of people miss sometimes. You know, you really do have to sit back and make a plan before you start taking like doing the moves you want to make. To pivot a little bit though, like the way you guys make music has always been interesting to us. I think SiSi was like you guys were one of our first people on the show, and you kind of set in motion this like consistent tradition or like pattern that we saw for the next 4 guests we had, where like nobody was writing.
Really?
Yeah, and we didn't know if they just saw like I don't know if it was bitten from you or if it was just like a something going around Chicago right now. But who else did we talk to right after that? That was. Yeah, yeah.
Femdot, he was saying he does that a little bit. He's more of like a sit down, write it, but then also like and we go through it and like just change on the go. He was saying a lot of other people were saying that as well, though. It's definitely been a theme on our show.
Yeah. So you set that in motion, but tell us a little bit about like catch us up on the motions of you being in the studio, because I feel like it's got to be all over the place. Not in a good way, like a real hurricane situation, because you're just coming off the top with everything.
Basically, I just go in the studio. Like, actually, it's getting crazier now because, like, believe it or not, I'll be doing, like, one takes, you know what I'm saying, where it's just, like, one take. Just go through the
Sometimes that's all you need.
Just go through the whole beat, and then, like, it may be a couple words that I just need to change, but for the most part, the song be done in, like, 5 minutes.
So you're just pumping these songs out right now.
Yeah, like it's crazy.
What's it like for you, Nasim, to like see her just push these songs out? Do you feel like sometimes like you make a beat, you're like, no, I want you to spend more time. Like, do you ever get like a little ego on that?
I trust the artists I work with, but it's
okay.
Really not. Like at first, when we really started working on a project, I used to hit her up and like, oh, make sure you write, you know, and she was like, oh, okay, cool. But we'll get to the studio. And like I always say this, like it should just like she said, just take 5 minutes to go through what she gonna go through. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, it's dope. You know what I'm saying? It's been a couple times. Show You Suck been in the studio with us, so it's cool.
Shout out, Show You Suck.
Yeah,
always, forever.
Yeah, he's gonna be an Enjoy. Right, he's coming to Enjoy straight off the tour.
Come out tonight.
Straight off the tour.
But it was cool to see them bouncing off ideas, and the engineer we were working with, Thomas, from Big West Studios. Just everybody, Linus, yeah.
I saw that. I actually like that track a lot. Did he help produce that as well?
Yeah, he crazy, man. Like this, not only do he engineer, but like he's like, oh, okay, like just add a snare. And I was kind of coaching him both through what I wanted to hear, but he like hit it right, like he had a home run with it. So
it was a great track.
Yeah, it's 3 producers, like yeah. Xavier in the corner, and the cut helped out with that. But the whole project was kind of like freestyle, if you ask me, like especially like the beats, especially like working with Linus. It's just like some things we had to flip, so some of the beats don't sound like the original production. So it was, like I said, it was a growing process, man. It taught me a lot of things about just being an artist, you know what I mean? Just being a full out musician. So we took our time on this, but it was quick though.
Well, not only a musician, but also like you put yourself into like the managing role. You've taken on a lot of other roles since then. So what's it been like for you to kind of like take on your business side, your entrepreneurial side a little bit more? Because it's been fun to watch from like our perspective.
It made me chill out though, like as far as like how I feel about things. Like it made me kind of like look at both sides. You know what I mean? Like, at first I used to think work until no excuses. But now, just like actually having personalities around me that I trust and they trust me.
That's very real.
That was the biggest thing. Yeah. Like, it was no trust with the artists I worked with before. And I think that's because we was young and just didn't have a goal set out. So the ones I work with now, like they're very talented, good people. They got goals going for themselves.
Yeah, we had Musa Reams on the show a couple months after you guys and stuff. He was like one of our favorites to have on. He had nothing but good things to say about the situation. So it sounds like you're getting that working pretty well.
Yeah, even with him, like we linked up at the end of 2017, and he knows a lot about the Chicago history and just the culture. And, for him to be a few years younger than me, he just gained my respect, man, because like I see he studies and takes this serious. So
how important is that to you guys? Like you mentioned, like the history and the culture of Chicago. This is a time when SoundCloud rap is like very much just kind of push that to the side a little bit. That's not as important as it once was. Is that something that you two try to embody in your music? Is that something you really try to like pull out and like play with a little bit? Because I mean, as a writer in Chicago, I always play off the history. You can't really miss it here. It's a city like rife with history. We were talking about it off screen earlier today. Is that something you guys really try to intertwine? Is that like a teaching moment as well as like a music moment?
In regards to like the whole SoundCloud thing, I actually started like listening to SiSi through SoundCloud, so it was good to see her. She had
SoundCloud. All right, we gotta do this because like we talked to Femdot about this because
no,
because it's like some people take
I think she took advantage of SoundCloud.
Right, yeah, you got to be careful because there's like a weird connotation sometimes. But
that's what I'm saying. Like I think SiSi did a good job, like being in that lane, but she grew out of it now. Like you know what I mean? I feel like SiSi has a bigger platform just now, only than SoundCloud. But going back to the culture, what made me link up with her, other than her SoundCloud link, was just her sound. Like, like man, okay, like she got this sound. Like it's Chicago, but it's different. I feel like it's like more of a worldwide sound. Like somebody asked me the other day, do you consider SiSi hip hop? I was like, no. I feel like SiSi sound is bigger than that. You know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like not even like no disrespect, no shade on her. But
yeah.
I feel like SiSi reaches for things, you know what I mean? She goes crazy instead of like, I feel like hip hop to me is like traditional things, and I feel like SiSi like reaches outside the box. So that's why I like working with her, because again, it's just you're just gonna learn something, you're just gonna grow, and it's gonna be a hit like most of the time actually. Like, and if you don't like it, I feel like you can talk to her and she'll adjust and whatever the case may be. But that's never the case. So we pushing, we pushing that Chicago culture as far as like making good music, man. I feel like the sound is different, but at the same time, like I feel like we stand up. Like if you hear us, you from the Midwest, so
definitely.
But I guess more features are kind of amplified. Like if we work with more legends and more currents in the city.
How would you characterize this, SiSi? What are you pushing for? Like, what would you accomplish with like unlimited budget? What's like your dream and your goal with like in this moment? It could change in 6 months, but
I want a Grammy.
That's
I
real.
want a Grammy. Like I know it's like people probably be like,
would you win Best Rap Grammy? Or would you like what one would you win? Where do you think you fall in that whole thing?
I just like, do they have like the best album of the year type?
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah. All right.
Everything, But I
come from Adele's spot.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take rap. I'll take whatever like little box people want to put me in, but I'd rather take that album of the year. I don't really know how many like female artists for real from Chicago has a Grammy. I don't really know if it's one.
That's an interesting question.
Yeah, but I know there's a lot of people that they like claim that they're the queen of Chicago, and I feel like you're not the queen until you at least bring a Grammy.
Jennifer Hudson got a Grammy.
Facts. Now she could probably be the queen.
I was thinking I had to go.
You know what? Yeah, she do. She has a few. I think she got a few.
Yeah, well, she also has like Oscars and stuff. She wins a lot of awards.
Yeah.
She might actually. Now we're thinking about it. She might. She might fulfill that, but
yeah, she got like
But we're on a different wave.
Yeah, the
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I'm saying. It's only so many though. You know what I'm saying? But if you think of like New York and other places, I feel like they have more female, right? They have more female artists that have Grammys. I don't think Chicago really have enough personally.
How do you feel about the current state? This is a terrible question to ask any female rap artist, but how do you feel about the current state? Because there's been a lot of talk lately about pitting like Cardi B against Nicki Minaj, whereas 10 years ago we had a whole bunch of female rappers and they didn't seem like you only had to have one.
Yeah, like that. I'm not gonna lie, like that actually really irritates me. You know what I'm saying? Because like, why does it have to be that? Is it because like of a different sex? Like, why do Nicki, like, why, like, you can't be the greatest or you can't be the best unless you're better than Nicki? Like, why do everybody has to be pinned to Nicki? Because, like, I understand. Like, she opened the door after, like, Kim and everybody, because for a while, like, after, like, Remy Ma got locked up, wasn't no female rap artists who really was doing their thing until Nicki Minaj came along. And it wasn't her fault that she was great in her time, you know what I'm saying? It really wasn't nobody to put her up against, but she is talented, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like people should leave her alone and let her be. I think it's because she's so strong, and strong-minded. It don't go for anything, and that people can't take that, you know what I'm saying? So they like, we got to take her down. Like, instead of trying to big her up, everybody want to take her down, and I feel like that's weird.
It is weird. It's a weird, like, situation where they don't do that to male artists nearly as much. I mean, if you see a lot of the festivals, like one that happened this weekend was all male and like one female. And I don't want to like go So yeah, I don't want to like go too deep. Like, I don't want to like hate on anything, but yeah, like it is interesting because I was looking at the lineup and it was like Queen Key was the only person on it, and it was I was struck by just the amount. And I don't usually notice those kinds of things. Sometimes you don't notice it as a man. But
and what was crazy about that, it was so like glamorized, like the only female, and it's just like, okay, but she's not the only female in the city that's doing a thing, but people don't give other
or
people
even outside of the city, right? Like,
facts, right?
I look at it like the networking point of view, like you asked me about the whole like the different hats I'm wearing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a goal of mine. Okay, cool. Like next year, SiSi should be in. Be like, we put enough work. I feel like if that's the case, maybe she's out here more talking to people. Just getting her name out here. But I feel like it's possible, especially for women, to like really take advantage of this industry now because the sound is so different coming from them. Like if you look at SiSi Dior, Dreezy, Tink, Henny B, wrestling soon.
Hey.
Like man, all the women.
You got the rapper chicks up in doing their Minnesota thing right now.
I mean, all the women from our city really come with this sound, with this different like approach, and then just amazing human beings.
I mean, look at Queen Key. She's come on so strong and like really. It's interesting to me, like at a time of like such the Me Too movement, all this stuff going on, such a time of female empowerment, that this is a thing. You know what I mean? You would think everybody would kind of lean the other way given the situation, what's been going on in the world. But it continues to be kind of a masculinity-driven thing. Do you feel like you have to play against that? I mean, you playing in so many different sounds. Do you even like fall into the realm of like one thing or the other? Or do you feel like you're so abstract in like your sound that you can kind of like maneuver between those things?
I believe I can maneuver because like it'd be funny because people be like, I don't even listen to females, but I like your music.
That's such a weird thing to say.
Yeah, that's what they say though. They're like, I don't even like female rappers. I don't like when females rap, but I listen to your music. I've heard that a lot.
That's such a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, it's just as bad as somebody like, you cute for a dark skinned girl. Like, what is that? But people will say that too. So some people just ignorant. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta take it.
Don't know how to give a compliment.
Your compliment how you get it sometimes.
So from here on out though, like what's the plan? Like you're talking about more festivals through the end of the year. You guys already hit a few cities. What did you do? You did New York, you did Chicago. Did you go out to LA? It was LA. I do remember that. Yeah.
We did Atlanta. Things like so. We did a few festivals actually, and a couple of our own showcases. So
yeah, you guys were kind of bouncing between like different kinds of shows. What was that like? Kind of getting the show together for different kinds of stages. Was that a challenge at all?
It was stressful on my end, I think, because it was just like, again, it's just us
in
our own show, so it's just like we don't got like no super booking agent or no super manager who like a shark and could so but don't get me wrong, a lot of the people are our friends who helped us in these different cities. So shout out to them doing their thing out in these cities, man, in these major cities, and getting to a point where we could all be super friends, network and help each other. When they come
the
to
super
Chicago,
friends, I like that.
They come to Chicago, I hold them down here. I go to New York, LA, and that's the power of networking. So I just know I got to work a little harder because I know it's possible. I could be on a lot of bigger festivals and get bigger placements and things like that, like movie placements, shows, things like that, video games. I could definitely see our sound being a little more universal. But
most definitely.
Yeah.
And with this project, you guys said like you mentioned earlier in the show that the first project was all produced by you, but this one is a little bit more scattered and like kind of reaching out. Is there any other differences between the two things that like made you want to do that, or is that just like how did you decide to break it up? Because you kind of did it. I like the way you did it at the beginning of spring and the end of the summer kind of thing. It feels like a bookend. It feels very appropriate. Yeah, exactly. So like, how did you decide what went where and stuff like that? What was the process and like maybe the soundscapes you guys were working with?
Go ahead, Z.
Well, like for me, I mean, the project's called Twilight Zone anyway, you know what I'm saying? So you think Twilight Zone, like, that's like an old classic, TV show that, just of like a bunch of weird, strange things, right? So I feel like for side B or B side, whatever, it's a little more dark, you know what I'm saying? It's getting close to fall. My birthday is in October, and like I be excited about October and just fall in general. So like I just feel like the sound, it was perfect for the, you know what I'm saying? It's like perfect for like the season. Yeah, that's pretty much how
I feel that. Yeah.
When I start doing the visuals, like it'll really, really come together and make even more sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we could expect visuals soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
real soon. Like we had some of those tracks already made, and then we made them in the process. So it was just cool to kind of it naturally happened too. Like I know she said it's like it's going to an autumn too, but I just remember me just looking at everything and I was asking like, man, like I think we should, like, do you think it's cool if we just separate this and that? The essence of just working, you always prepare for things. Yeah.
My bad. Production notes.
I actually had a question to piggyback off of that. When you guys were recording the A side of the first project, did you have in mind that you were gonna drop another part to it, or was it something that kind of happened just off the momentum of the first project?
Yeah, we kind of had in mind, but then she started like recording more music too. So like I said, we already kind of had it in mind what tracks we were gonna do. Right. But then SiSi was like, okay, I want to add. I believe it was Drip and Drip go crazy too. Drip. So when I heard it, I was like, good choice.
Drip was 7 piece.
Yeah. So I was thinking at first, like 3 to 5 tracks, and then SiSi was like, no, let's boost it, But we both agreed that we didn't want to get too much music to what people was like, we don't want to listen to it too long. So,
right. I think actually, to me, to be honest, I think 7 is a great number. Mm-hmm. I feel like 5 is a good number, but it's like you kind of leave them wanting more.
Right.
But 7 is like a comfortable number with someone who listened, talked about them while they're like going from here to there.
Yeah.
And it doesn't consume like 2 hours or an hour, of their time. They can digest all of it.
Yeah.
Well, the 7 was the whole good music thing too, right?
Yeah.
That was the whole debate over like, is it an album? Is it not? Mm-hmm. What would you guys call this? Is this a?
I feel like it's an album due to the fact that we're about to sell it.
There you go. Well, it's just like the EP album debate is such like a weird one. I've seen like 11 song EPs.
Yeah.
And personally, I feel like another reason why it's like I make short songs. Like I don't really make super stretched out songs because I feel like with social media and everything that's just be going on in the world, it's hard to keep people's attention.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
3 bridges and 4 hooks. And
I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine
Yeah.
doing that, or I couldn't imagine like having a 17 track like nothing right now.
Yeah.
Well, there's that other side of it, right? Where it's like the Migos theory, where that's hilarious. The Migos theory, where you like just flood the streets with as much music as you can, because it's gonna get played. But you have to be. I feel like you have to be at a certain place to do that as well.
Yeah.
7 good songs. I'm on that side of things. I'm just playing devil's advocate over here. But
no, I feel like if you doing the Migos here, I feel like you gotta already have your crowd. You already got
right.
fans.
Yeah.
You gotta know like they gonna support me. Like it's all about the numbers and whatnot. Like you gotta see growth somehow, some way for you to be like, fine.
Well, it's like having a lot of money, right? Like you could throw like a bunch of money at something if you have a lot of money, and just if one of those things pops off, you good. But
they probably create fans too, so they probably just able to just do
real talk.
What, like cyborgs?
They can just hop in the studio anytime.
Just be like, man.
She said create. You said create fans.
Create, like they probably can create, like the Migos. They probably can make music like super fast.
Oh, I thought you said create fans. I was like they got cyborg, like Westworld and shit. The Migos are making people.
From what I've been seeing, some artists find joy in putting out so much music too, though. Like I know some artists who like I can't sit on one song. Like I gotta put this out. Like the people gotta hit me. So I just feel like it's also like a thing too.
Well, that was the thing I would always talk to people when whenever I did like PR with anybody, I'd always talk to them about the fact that they'd be if someone was like, I have to get the song out at a certain point. I was like, my first question was like, why?
Right.
And I would just like wait for their why. If they had a great why, like, oh shit, yeah, that's like, you have a show coming up, yeah, that sounds perfect. But a lot of times it'd be like, I don't know, I just need to get it out. Mm-hmm. It was like, all right, well, if that's the only reason, like your best bet is probably back up, do a few other things, maybe make some moves, like artists same thing. Like I identify with artists a lot of times being a writer, because sometimes I'll write some shit and be like, oh, I gotta get this out now, and I'll go read that like an hour later, be like, there's so many typos in that. You know what I mean? This doesn't read as well as I thought it did when I wrote it. Sometimes you know what I mean. So there definitely is something to be said for the editing process, I think, right?
Yeah, but it's but the game's so crazy now, because I feel like you can really get on like that, cause like I know I'm seeing like these artists on YouTube, right, with like they singles, and then like they putting out all this music, right, and then it's like that one song, and it's like take off
quality over
like,
quantity, right? Something,
you know,
yeah.
like, it'd be like, okay, to shoot all your shots until you, I guess you hit your game winner, I guess, like, you know what I mean, like
That's real. I mean,
if the
you know,
coach mad at you, just keep shooting, like, you know what I'm saying, like until you take me out, I'm going to shoot, like. That's what I'm gonna do. Like
it's like Antoine Walker or something.
like, you know what I'm saying? Man, so that's what I'm saying. Like the theory is now, because you see that one song with like all these millions of plays, but the rest of the song is still like 1,000 and 20.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you
like,
definitely see that. Do you think that like erodes the album format a little bit, even more so than it has been? Because like I definitely feel you. Like there's definitely people who have like all these songs, but they only one of them has like 1 million plays, whereas like the others are like 300 plays.
Yeah.
It makes for like a bad album listening experience. It makes people not want to go to albums. That like just kind of pumps up the single side. Do you think like there is a world where the album still matters as much as it once did?
Again, to me, it depends on your following, or it depends on like how you like the sound of your album. I feel like Kanye, it's like kind of hard, because this was his, like no matter what people say, like those albums he put out, like I'm really impressed with those. But at the same time, I just think it's just weird. If you put out a song with 1 million plays and that's what people know you off of, I feel like you got to stick to that lane, and like, you know, because this is what people want for you. So it's just best to put out less music as possible and just try to create your own craft, like your own, like, I guess, visual yourself and whatnot, instead of just, you know, going crazy with these shots. Because like I respect what's going on. Like I can't take away from nobody's hard work, but at the same time, if you really notice, people are sticking to what that first song is really about. Like you never see people really switch up the style, because that's what people want to hear.
So kind of like, if you get on that way, you're kind of saying that kind of puts you in the lane. In a sense.
It kind of puts you, kind of stick you in something.
So to take it back to you guys are doing the exact opposite. You're going down a whole lot of lanes at once. It's almost you're doing exactly what they're doing, but from a different angle, essentially. Because you're not putting out a ton of music at once, but you're hitting a lot of angles at once.
It's more so content and like marketing. Like we even had a pizza, you know, in Chicago.
Right,
so,
that's
like,
right.
You know, so it's just like one of those things. Like, okay, cool. The music, and then from what I understand, these streams, like, it's not even paying you that well until you're doing like millions of plays. So my biggest thing is like, okay, put your music out, create your platform. But if you got opportunity to create on other platforms, shoot those shots too, because you know it's a little more efficient than music. Everybody's doing music now.
Right.
Who's really like, you know, everybody's doing merch too, and you know, clothes and all that. But it's just a thinking man's game. Like you got to think outside the box.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
That's a great point.
I feel like there are a lot of people doing it, but it's the ones that strategizing it, making it this like a whole package.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can do it, but it's how you do it. Like how you guys are doing like different types of lanes. It's like everyone can just shoot a shot, 1 million shots, but if you're taking a bunch of different shots, you know, you obviously have a different strategy.
Yeah.
You're gonna get results that not everybody else is getting.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you know your spots, that's cool, and you making, you know, making hits off that, that's cool. But at the same time, like if you just coming into things, like try to be as diverse as you can.
Yeah.
Unless, like I said, unless you coming in with those super fans, unless you like know you leaving high school and you like I got 1,000 people.
Like some Lil Pump shit or something.
Exactly.
Like his sound is gonna be his sound.
Like they figured, man, I wish I was in high school doing what they, man, you know.
That's the plight of everybody around our age, man. It's like Twitter when you're 19, 20 wasn't as cool as having it when you were 15.
Yeah.
My MySpace friends would be going crazy though.
For real.
If I was still had that shit, you know what I'm saying?
You know,
like,
even like I see Lyrical Lemonade for what I see, the staff or all that, like they look very young.
But they did their thing though, man. They took they really played the blueprint of I think like everything that happened before, and they came along at a perfect time and capitalized on it. I think that's what they did well, is that not only did they see it, but they capitalized on it. I think that's the hardest thing to do. And like them doing the festival is like the coolest shit in the world, because being a part of that, you know, whatever, like that on the media side of the hip hop music here in the city or whatever for the years, young people come in and like really see what could happen and take it there. I think that means a lot for Chicago. So like shout out Lyrical Lemonade. We didn't mean anything earlier. But no, for real, like it is really inspiring to see like, you know, Cole and all that team and Elliot Montanez and all the guys over there that are like, you know, they did it. Like not a lot. There's been a lot of groups of people over the years that have wanted to do what they did, and like for them to take that initiative and make it happen was very, very dope. So shout out them for another thing in the city. We need SiSi Dior on there next year.
Yeah, I mean, SiSi doing, she like, man, one of the acts in what is it? Treacy, what do you call the festival?
Treacy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So this our second year in a row being in that fest, and
Where's that at?
It's in Indianapolis.
Very dope.
This Saturday, presented by Live Nation and things like that.
If you guys are in Indianapolis this weekend,
Yeah,
get out there.
Valet is the headliner.
Really?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah,
talk about somebody who's come on very fast.
Yeah, man.
He's been tearing it up.
Yeah.
I love the way he's been handling people stealing his flows.
Yeah,
That's been my favorite thing about
Get
him
ready,
so far.
because people for the visa.
I was gonna say that.
You got flows.
Yeah, definitely.
people
That,
already
you stole my
saying,
segue,
like,
bro.
It's crazy though. It's like I've been knowing Valet like since before all of this.
Oh, really?
Like when he just was doing music and like was so low key about it. You know what I'm saying? Like I have emails. Like I have like songs that's just unreleased that like nobody's heard, but it's like super dope. But I always told him like keep going. You know what I'm saying? So it's really dope to see like how he just took off. Like.
It just goes to show, like anybody. I mean, Juice WRLD just like launched like crazy. It's hot out here. You know what I mean? The ground is hot. People are taking off left and right.
L Hitler was just at my artist Luck. He was just opening up for him back in like April, and now L Hitler was like everywhere. Like, oh yeah, took off. So
well, it's crazy. I was at the Apple Music event, and he was. Again, like it's no shade at all. It's like impressive as hell. I was sitting there and he was like, yeah, last year I was doing like a house party show. And I'm looking around and he's got like Concord Hall packed out with Apple Music live streaming. I was like, damn, bro. That is we thought Chance coming on was a quick rise. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, shout out Juice WRLD. That is an amazing come up story
and
for
what's
real.
crazy, that's why you just gotta respect everybody.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
like
real.
you
It's very real.
somebody like shit last year, and then they'll be like walking
up
over on
on
your
you,
ass
boy,
the next
like-
year. Like, look, I remember you. You did treat me right. You know. Can't get you in VIP, sorry. You know, but it be like that sometimes.
And then people that come up, like, man, don't forget about the people that supported you
Yeah,
too, because
that's
you
true.
can always fall flat on your face with nothing,
Yep.
and people turn their back. So.
We've seen both sides of that here in Chicago.
You see that here, man, you would be left dirty, like, man. So it's crazy. Like a lot of people want clout, and it's a lot of opportunities here, but at the same time, just really, like I said, build a trust. Like you'll know, like at least I do. I really trust my team. I got like producers I work with, artists, engineers that I thoroughly trust. At the same time, you got to pay certain people too, and pay for certain things. But it's worth it because it's all gonna work out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of people talk about the difference between like New York and Chicago is that in New York, for all the scamming they do on everything we have here, they work together. Like it's kind of like people build on top of people there. They use each other in like the right way. Whereas like here in Chicago, people kind of like pull each other down almost. Like we've all been through that at some point. If you've worked in Chicago in the media or the music or media scene at all, it's happened to you at least once or twice. But what has your guys' experience been? Like you talk about having a trustful team now. Like you guys have a great relationship. It's like obvious just talking to you guys for 5 minutes. How hard was that for you guys to kind of broach? Because I know like once you've been burned a few times, it's hard to like really open yourself up to somebody to work with.
Yeah. See, the thing with me, the thing with me, Nassim has never did anything fool. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just one of those people. Like if you,
That's a great grade.
Yeah. He's never done anything fool. He's always been the same person, only progressing. You know what I'm saying? And in a good way. He's never like switched up. He's never like took his role and like knowing like the connections and everything that he has. He never like held that over anybody's head he's ever been around. He's always been a respectable person. Just don't blow him, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just a little hard when you blow him. But I never blew him. Like we all good, you know what I'm saying? But that's really how it is with me. Like I'm one of those people. Like I just take you how you are. You know what I'm saying? I give you that chance to be who you are. I can't look at you and be like, oh, you might steal my money because the person behind you stole my money. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't be like that. Like that's not the way to move in the game because you'll be bitter and like you'll probably like mess your own opportunity up, trying to judge people.
Well, it's like that back and forth, right? Because like part of you has to.
Oh, for
But
sure.
then you have
gotta
to also,
keep your
like, check
guard.
it. Yeah,
you're gonna have your guard up. Like, I mean, being from that's the great part about being from Chicago. It definitely teach you how to like keep your guard up. Like, you should almost know the snake before the snake even get to you. Like, you should already read that person. You
What
should
did
be able
Joey
to
say
read
that you
it.
can always see the snakes when your grass cut?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You got to keep your circle kind of small. You can't have like no super big, large circle and think that there's no snakes in it because now you got a lot of grass. Grass is just growing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's when that's that whole idea. Like in New York, people whenever you meet someone from New York, you've had that experience. You go to New York, you start talking to someone, you say you're from Chicago. Oh shit. And it goes beyond just like the fact that they hear the stories from Chicago. It's like the way people carry. I love being in New York. I love being with people from Chicago in New York because it's like, it's just, I don't know. As much as they flex on Chicago, it always has like this kind of
It's an
cool.
advantage.
It's like some weird advantage. Yeah,
it's like, I think with all the crime and people look at you like you surviving in the city.
Yeah.
Like, people
like we're all Al Capone or some shit.
Survival of the fittest. Like, I mean, New York had its, crime and whatnot at one point and still do. But right now, on top of the media, amplifying things, we in a real, like, vulnerable stage in Chicago. But shout out to people really making it, staying out of trouble. Like, I feel bad for the people in they window shot in and, goofy things like that. But for the most part, if you're in the city, like, people are really, like, out here making it every day, trying their best to, like, make a dollar and get back home safe. So, like, don't get it twisted. We not here being savages. Like, at least most people I know, it's just sad, man, But people respect us for that. That's what I think. That's my theory. Because I'm
it's definitely a respect thing at the end of the day, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I was able to walk in the projects and
Projects in New York are so weird in that way, right?
I was
You'd be walking through, someone be like, "You're in the projects." Like, really?
I had friends like they from them, but they run it. But it was so much respect. They like, yo, my homegirl from Chicago. They like, oh yeah, we here. It's cold out there. Like, they treated me like I came from Afghanistan. Like I was in a war or something. But that's how they look at you. They like, damn, you made it out. You know what I'm saying?
Are you good? Is everything
saw
okay?
Like 70 people got shot last weekend. Like, it'd be crazy. So they definitely they definitely respect you in a different way. They know they know where you come from.
It's actually coverage on Chicago out there. Like, like I've woke up
in like a weird way though. It's like that. It's that New York Post. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit. There was that writer who came at Chance a couple years ago and stuff like that. Like, they kind of sensational. It's New York, they sensationalize everything.
I'm just happy, like, the position Chicago in as far as, like, the attention. Like, we got athletes coming out the city. We got, like, musicians, things like that. So, like, I feel like the city been fiending for that forever, and we finally got it. We just need our role models to, like, better the city more. Like, we need to be here.
Well, that's a beautiful thing, right? And I probably said this on like 4 shows straight. This is a reference I'm gonna make, but there's on the David Letterman show he's got on Netflix. He had Jay-Z on, and he made, he kind of always plays like the goofy, I don't know anything about anything kind of guy. So he's like, he's asking Jay-Z, like, every rapper, they're just telling their own authentic story, right? Like, they're all telling their own story. And Jay-Z laughed. Like, I'll never forget this. He like laughed out loud and was like, nah, man, no one's doing that, really. Right. And I took that to heart a little bit because I was thinking, like, in that moment, I thought through all my Spotify playlists and stuff, and like stuff I listened to, and I was like, Saba, Chance, Vic, Nick Jenkins, No Name Gypsy, Jamila Woods. I'm like, I can't really find a person in Chicago scene that's not telling their own authentic story. And that's the beautiful thing on top of it, is like we have this really nice matrix of like people making authentic real music and also backing it up with like authentic real action. And that's so rare, I think, across the country right now, especially in the music scene.
If you hear, you definitely experiencing something, like whether it's crime, like the city is just, it's beautiful, but we were just talking about how corrupt it is. So if you hear, like, the web is so strong and deep in the city, like everybody experienced something. So I feel you. So for Jay-Z to say, oh, nobody's telling the story, I feel like you looking at the New York point of view, like, y'all the city of dreams, like, y'all the ones who,
you got like Troy Ave and Tekashi 6ix9ine and shit.
I can expect you to feel that way, ho. But no, like, people in Chicago, like, no, even if you feel like they lame, no, they probably in the hood where you never seen the type of crime they think.
Exactly.
So it's just like, man, that everybody cut from different cloths, but at the same time, we all got a story. I don't care what the case may be. Right. So shout out to the rappers who out here really, holding it down, speaking truth. But at the same time, we still need to be role models and together, because a lot of these rappers like doing unhealthy things like these drugs and things like that. So I feel like they saying something right there, they going through something else.
Yeah.
But don't even know how to, like, really translated. I just so I think I feel you on that, Jake. You gotta take it to heart a little bit because we all human, so everybody got a story.
Yeah, and here in the city, at least in Chicago, we have people actually telling their own stories. They're not fabricating it. Saba told the story of John dying. I mean, that was that's the greatest album of the year to me. Mm-hmm. And you don't hear anything inauthentic here. Everything here is like very authentic. That just struck me as like I was like, damn, Jay-Z laughed at that.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean? And that's something so real here.
I think he probably looking at it like he on a whole nother.
Yeah, it's a
so
different.
He probably looking at these like clowns who really in here, But I feel like if he was probably if more of our role models in the city, more sitting with people eating, like chopping it up, things like that, they'll really see like, oh, okay, cool, like. Politics can't change it. These people, people really are struggling. Okay,
well, I think that's a beautiful thing about like what the Chances and the Vicks and like these guys are doing. Like the fact that Mick Jenkins lives down the street from here rather than lives in 2,000 miles away in LA is a testament to like the whole scene here. You know what I mean? Like the fact that Chance is here still doing open mics. That Vic is out here with Save Money, Save Life, helping kids like do street medics and all this stuff. Like. They're there giving back, and it's like there's I'm missing a million references in between that. You know what I mean? Not to shortchange anybody doing amazing things, but it's inspiring because I feel as though the way you've seen like Common try to come back around, but not he's trying to figure it out, but he's kind of Hollywood. I don't think we'll have that with this generation. I think this will be the generation that starts pulling it down. You're seeing it like every year that they grow older, and it's it goes all the way up like. Now we're getting old and we got to start going back down and stuff like that. But I think the cyclical thing, based on the way a lot of people came up in that first wave renaissance, where everyone had to work together regardless because it wasn't as sweet as it is now, I think that kind of permeates down to everybody else. Yeah. I could be wrong, though.
I think about all the ones who came before us, like Kanye West, Twista, R. Kelly, like these cats don't.
Well,
Lupe, these cats.
Leave R. Kelly off the list.
These cats don't got like no artists that they, that they can like say they got the crown now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was all them like just not against each other because
they did it and they kind of did. That was it wasn't exist here.
But you see a lot of these young artists with their own artists now, like, and they artists going up, so things like that.
Now,
so the city, like you said, that first Renaissance kind of like. Was like, oh, it's mine, but like we started, and I say we because we all in the same.
You were right there,
yeah. We all started a time where we gonna stick together and where we gonna, help. It's still kind of like you said, like pulling, like crabs in the bucket here, but at the same time,
you just gotta find the good ones.
Yeah,
you gotta find the good crabs.
Yeah, but even outside of here, like I said, people are really like starting their own labels and publishing and things like that, really being independent. So. I think it's good to see that shift.
Absolutely, I think we're on the right track. I say all that to say that I'm very proud of everything that's been happening here for the last year or so. So it's year 5, 6, 7, 8 years now, and now it's getting lengthy. But we're getting a little lengthy as well. Taking it back to the album real quick before we get out of here. What do you guys want people to take from the Side B project, and how is that going to lead into the second half of your year?
I want people to stop playing with me and acting like I'm not out here really doing my thing. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta point at the camera.
For real, like I really be feeling like the respect. Like I don't be feeling like people really be respecting me for like everything that I do. You know what I'm saying? Like if I really went into detail on what I've done for the city, even outside of music, people would be like, "Whoa, like for real?"
Put them on game. What do you do?
Real look. I mean. I can't put it out there like that.
All right,
one day I am.
Next interview, we get out on the next one.
I'm gonna wait till like it's like man like soup. I'm gonna wait till like I get to that next platform. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna really let everybody know everything that I've done. You know what I'm saying for the city. But I mean, I just need people to know like I got it. We got it. And I see them, like all my producers like we've super slept on, and I'm tired of. I don't know if I'm slept on or people just like choosing to just look the other way. I don't really know what it is, but I'm just like sick of it. So like when you hear me go, like that's why I don't even write. I just go straight off like how I feel. You know what I'm saying?
You just got all that
out through the heart. You know what I'm saying? Like just from the heart. It be straight from the heart. That's how I come. That's how I'm coming.
That's the only way to go.
Yeah.
Man, my biggest thing is just I feel like I'm picking up where I left off. A few years ago, you allowed me to be like in the XXL online, and I feel like that was like a good, man. That was a good year for me, man.
Gatekeeper.
Man, for real, right? Exactly. I was killing, man. I wasn't DJing as much, But my goal now is just like to pick up where I left off. I had was in New York, doing my thing, and then like just having children like kind of slowed me down. But now I'm just
Papa
like,
Williams.
Yeah. Yeah, but now I'm just like in a better position now, clear mind and just understand the business a little more. That's something I didn't have just that knowledge before. So yeah, we just trying to get more checks. So book us.
Help them get these checks.
That's all, trying to get these bags staffed away and give back to the city, help influence people, things like that. So,
Well, tell them where they can find y'all tonight. Y'all going out tonight, right?
Yeah, we'll be at Enjoy in Wicker Park, 2051 West Division Street. Everybody come out. It's free. It's going to be super duper fun.
Yeah.
Super duper.
I won't be DJing, but we got the album playing. We got good music playing still. It was like real last minute, but still come out, celebrate with us. But thanks for having us, gentlemen.
Yes,
like,
man. Pleasure's all ours, man.
Perfect day for us. Like, we got the album, got a good review from you all, so it's been cool and good conversation here. So
yeah,
we love it. Yeah, you guys are welcome back anytime. You are our first guest, capping it right here.
I did not know that. That was so dope to know.
Yeah, we kicked off the show, you guys. Now we're back again.
That's history. Hey.
And we're in the new studio, man. This has been Mild Sauce Live. We've been here with SiSi Dior, Nasim Williams. I'm Jake Krez. That's just Jay.
What up?
And you can catch us Mild Sauce Live all the time. But we're going to be back again on Wednesday, live from the Roby Hotel for Let's Talk Chicago.
that's what's up, man.
And it's going to be our first bounce out to the live talk show format. So make sure you guys tune in. We're going to be with Nico Washington, Tisha of Eugene Taylor brand.
Get it right, you know what I mean?
And my guy Brian Fresco. So it's going to be a real good conversation. If you guys can make it out, PBR is sponsoring it, and it's going to be at 7:30 p.m. at the Roby Hotel, second floor. Outside of that, go get that Twilight Zone Side B. It's on SoundCloud right now. It's going to hit Spotify, iTunes, everything else, Apple Music, all the important stuff after that.
This interview was so on point. We can go straight into on point.
Yeah.
Oh,
There we go. There we go. Jay's going to
Outside
ride
of
you out. And, yeah, man, thank you guys so much for coming back on the show.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
for
Thank y'all.
sure.
Appreciate
Thanks
y'all.
for having me.
Good night, Chicago. Good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Sabi music.
What do they want? What do they want? Man, we on point. Man, we on point. Everything on point. Everything on point. Yeah. Yeah, we on point. Yeah, we on point. Yeah. Everything is on point. Yeah, we on point. Yeah. Everything on point. Yeah, we on point. Yeah. Everything on point. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we on point. Yeah. Everything on point. Yeah. Expensive cars when we riding. You could tell we be grinding. Plus on niggas when we shining. Right around in the city. No one sees so pretty. Sorry you ain't fucking with me. Promising that I'm dead. Everything on point. Yeah. Catch me all over the club. Yeah. Throw me through 100 ducks. Yeah. We ain't fucking with no scrubs. Yeah. Bitch, we cleaner than a tub. Yeah. Now they showing all the love. Yeah. You can look, but please don't touch. Yeah. Sorry, baby, you ain't tough. Yeah. Everything on point. 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 Yeah. Right around my bitches. Yeah. Spent the band on my entrance. Yeah. Show my niggas how we did it. Yeah. Spent the band on the dentist. Yeah. We in the midst like a chemist. Yeah. Fuck them niggas, they ain't with it. Yeah. Facts and bitches run the distance. Yeah. Money short like midget. Yeah. I know that I'm bad, ho. I never want your man, ho. Sorry that he a fan, ho. But I'm all about my bands, ho. Bitch, I'm straight up out the band, ho. They watching me like a channel. They wanna blow their breath like candles. Man, I'm too much to handle. Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Riot Back. Yeah. We don't know we're going crazy. Yeah. They don't believe we go crazy. Yeah. So we pull up in Mercedes. Yeah. I've been gone, but I'm still near. I show love, I don't show no fear. I know you wanna get a piece of me, but I don't believe everything.